My name is John Poucher. I'm the Sales and Marketing Manager with Abram Interstate here in Rockland, California. On the call also this afternoon is Michelle Smith. Michelle?
Thanks, John. Welcome to our Equine webinar. And again, my name is Michelle Smith. I've been in our Ag department for about 3 years. And I just thought it would be good to share some basic information about equine farm risks and our appetite to help you with your submissions. We get a lot of equine submissions. It's probably more than half of our farm accounts. So I just thought it would be something that would be beneficial. I had read a recent statistic that 1 in 5 equestrian riders will have a serious injury during their riding career, so it's important to understand the risks associated with horses to help your insured have complete protection.
Yeah, that's a great stat. Thanks, Michelle. And, you know, folks, I'm going to touch on some of the items that we're going to cover today, but I'm definitely not the product expert. I will be pretending a little bit this afternoon. But a quick history of Abram Interstate and our equine roots. A lot of our agents don't know this, but we actually started as an MGA or wholesaler that wrote exclusively equine business. And from those simple beginnings, we've actually grown the rest of our book to do all that we service our agents today. We still have a nice book of equine and agribusiness farm accounts that we write, but it's definitely not all that we do anymore. And most now don't even know that we do it, which is you know, a big shift from where we come from.
Okay, so an overview of what we're going to be going over today. Insuring horses, basically mortality coverage, standalone equine, PHO, commercial, care, custody, and control. And then we're going to give a brief overview on some equine operations, farms, ranches, boarding, breeding, training, lessons, and sales. Next thing we're going to go into is mortality coverage.
Mortality coverage for equine is very much like life insurance. You see the first bullet point there. It's designed to pay you a sum of money after your horse that dies from illness, injury, disease, or accident. It may also provide coverage if your horse is stolen. Companies usually require the horse to be in good health. And for this product, it's actually, you can go onto our website, and it's a self-rating application that we have that we write with Markel. So you go on, you fill out all the questions, it will auto-generate a rate based upon the exposure, and then you can send in the application to us along with a bind order.
Okay, so we're going to go into coverage for equine activities, and just the exciting insurance explanation. Equine liability policies are designed to help protect the insured if they're sued by a third party due to property damage or bodily injury while involved in their equestrian activities. Keep in mind, third party does not include family members or employees. So if they have employees, they should look into workers' comp insurance. And liability generally covers certain unintentional situations in which someone is injured on the property, like an accident that occurs around your horse, bite, kick, or fall, or in some cases from an injury that arises under your supervision, such as riding lessons. Then we're going to cover a basic PHO, personal horse owner liability coverage. We have these policies available through a couple carriers, standalone policies, and it's an excellent option for those who are living in a condo or apartment or a residence where you cannot keep your horse. It's a specific policy that can protect you and your horse, and this covers on or off premises, and many boarding operations will require that the owners carry this insurance. You may be asked to have a certificate of insurance. Your horses need to be scheduled on this policy, or the insured horses, and if you have 10 or more horses on that policy, you're going to have to move over to a commercial policy because they consider anything over 10 commercial. And now getting into equine commercial liability. So we're going to talk about policies, pricing, and what you need to know based on the insured's activity. So we can offer standalone policies for this. Sometimes there's not a property that has a residence and they need some type of just commercial liability policy to cover their equine operations, or they may need something that goes hand in hand with their homeowner's policy. Some carriers will let you add that policy on with the homeowners, and others will make you convert it over into a package under them.
Care, custody, and control. Commercial policies offer care, custody, control coverage on their policies. If the operations are boarding horses, they should absolutely have this coverage. This protects the insured against the high cost of claims for injury or death of horses in their care. Policy pays sums they are legally obligated to pay to both others for death, injury, or theft of horses in your care, custody, or control. Think of it as like a very nice, there's a lot of doggy hotels. It's like a horse hotel where somebody takes care of your horse because you possibly don't have the land or a place to store your horse or take care of your horse, or maybe you travel a lot. For whatever reason it might be, you have somebody else taking care of your horse at a designated facility.
Right, and you just want to make sure that if your insured's boarding, that you always offer them this option. It's usually going to be a separate application, and there's a variety of limits available, all the way from $5,000 to $1 million, depending on how large their operation is.
The reason we ask that is in tradition of us having been historically in equine operations, every year around that time we have a tradition within the office where we have a horse race. And when we say a horse race, we get fake horses, we order Greek food, and we always do it around the Kentucky Derby time. So
in honor of our beginnings.
In honor of our beginnings, absolutely. So.
Okay, so we're going to move on to equine operations. So we have basically a variety of equine-related activities are covered, from a full-scale commercial boarding, training, riding, to just a backyard horse owner's pleasure use policy. I just wanted to go over some of the terminology that we have on our commercial equine applications. So we have training, horse shows, clinics, camps, equestrian events, boarding, and breeding. So training. A lot of times people will just put training on the application, and there's a variety of training. So I'm going to come back and probably ask for more details when that's on there. There's training the horse, and then there's training someone to ride the horse. And we also need to know if the horse they're teaching on is the student's horse, or if they're being taught on the trainer's horse, because that can make a difference in pricing. We would then calculate the rate times the projected receipts for those training activities. Then there's horse clinics. What's a horse clinic? Basically a class for people who have a particular interest in riding. So you can have a show jumping clinic if several people want to be taught a particular profession or some type of expertise about show jumping and training methods. Or you could have a dressage clinic, so those are pretty intensive, and you can have more than one lesson a day and possibly lectures in between. Then there's horse camps. This usually happens in the summertime. Kids will spend the day. Sometimes there's overnight, and they'll take riding lessons, do some grooming, have lunch. Then they'll learn about horsemanship, which is caring for the horse, how to tack a horse. They may end with dinner, and usually those happen for more than one day during the week. Usually it's about 1 to 3 days. So when we're rating, we need to know how many days per week for those camps, the number of campers, the number of supervisors, the age of the campers. A lot of times they don't want kids under the age of 5 or 3 years old. And then there's boarding and breeding, and that rating is based upon the average number of horses boarded monthly and gross annual receipts. So you want to get those from your applicant. We can also write a policy for riding clubs. and that can be defined as any group that's formed to pursue common equestrian-related interests. So a riding group can be a small group of friends meeting regularly for organized trail rides. And then sometimes the public is invited to those events, so we need to know if those are public or private events. And there's a difference in premium due to the public exposure on those.
I'm going to talk about the horse farm package. A common misconception for the homeowners is that they are covered for equine by their standard homeowners policy. However, the standard policy usually excludes this coverage for an injury that the loss occur in connection with a business pursuit, and it's common for a homeowner's policy to have a total animal exclusion. So this is where the farm package picks up. So it's going to combine your homeowners with a commercial policy. So you're going to have your property coverage that's going to be much greater than a standard homeowner's policy. It's going to have stuff for equipment, schedules, tack and livestock, sheds, all these things you're not going to find in just a common house. Including liability. Liability can be a 1-2 million liability limit, and it can cover your horse operations, including your on and off typical liability, third-party liability coverage. So, and it also can cover your personal horses. Again, 10 is going to be the threshold. Anything over that is going to be considered commercial, but anything under 10 that's a personally owned horse would be covered. So it's really a combo between the two. It's a very interesting policy.
All right, so we wanted to give you guys some tips for riding equines. That's why we're here. Just make sure you know all of the exposures so we get the right rating. A lot of times these guys will have a website, and that will outline all their equestrian activities. So you might just think maybe they're boarding and they might be selling some horses, and that's fine. We can cover that. We just need to know. Again, know that some homeowners' policies can exclude any claims caused by horses or cattle. For example, Lloyd's of London has an animal exclusion on their policy, so you always want to ask what they're doing with their horses. Companies will charge, so keep in mind every year we try to get a count, but it's per owned horse and per boarded horse. And that's how they come up with their rate. You want to request receipts and information for each equine activity. You also want to find out who's doing the training if there's training. Is it the insured or is it an independent instructor? Does the instructor have their own policy, and does it match that of the insured? Is it 1 million, 2 million if that's what the insured has? Otherwise, if there's a gap, then the insured becomes liable. If they don't have their own insurance, we can add them to the policy, so we just need to know. And you want to make sure that you obtain copies of the insured's hold harmless agreement or release agreement if they're doing these types of commercial equine activities.
Again, tips for riding. You want to obtain a copy of the boarding agreement from the insured. You want to inform your insured regarding the stable and safety rules. And they want to know if there's barbed wire, what kind of fencing is around. Barbed wire is going to be something that's going to be declined. Know the age of those getting riding lessons. Experience is preferred. And any apps or supplementals that you might need, you can go to abraminterstate.com and go to the Forms and Application tab that's right at the top of our homepage. There's a farm category where we have all of our forms and apps that you might need.
We can usually work with any type of equine supplemental from different carriers, and then when we go to bind, we might request a particular carrier's application. But again, we can usually quote off of almost any equine supplemental.
Perfect. Undesirable. If they're going through the drive-thru McDonald's, you might not want it. Again, trail riders for hire, horse for hire, pony rides, camps in campgrounds, guided hunts, handicap riding programs, event centers, and no experience, and rodeos. So in addition to hay rides.
And again, just to reiterate what we've already stated, what we will write, just basic hobby farms, that's probably the most common, boarding, breeding, training, horse clubs, shows. We also have a few programs that kind of fit into this category. We have outfitters and guides, and those are operations that provide backpacking, hiking, challenge courses, cross-country, mountaineering, kayaking, canoeing. They just basically will take you out on a guided fishing trail. We have some of those in the Sacramento area. Usually do that in the summertime. It's a fairly inexpensive policy. We can also cover farriers, and those are the guys that do the horseshoeing. And again, mortality coverage for the horses.
Our farm and equine carriers, so we write with travelers, and where we write, we didn't really cover this. So we write 90% of our business in California. However, we do write in the western U.S. So we write, if you think New Mexico to the Canadian border west, we can write equine, farm and equine business. We write most of our business in California. That's part of the reason the trivia questions were geared as such. And in California, for travelers, we are the exclusive partner in the wholesale MGA distribution model for them. So you can only get travelers ag business if you don't have a direct appointment through us. They want package business only. In addition to travelers, we are Great American. And we are newest carrier to Abram Interstate, and our farm department is American Reliable. Really excited to have them on board. They've really increased our underwriting appetite, which is nice. Mm-hmm. We also write with Markel, that we've mentioned already, on a monoline only basis. And then we write with Liberty Mutual on a package basis. And what was...
Just only own horses, though. They won't take any commercial operations for equine.
Yeah, no commercial ops.
So when you go to submit, again, you can go to abraminterstate.com, forms and applications, the category for farm, and depending, you might have the carrier in mind that you want to write with. You'll see that link for the application that you can complete online. If you have questions while you're doing that and you don't have a chance to pick up the phone, you can chat with us live and we can answer any of those questions. Of course, you can always call us. And when you're ready, you can submit it to apps@abraminterstate.com.
That's right. Before we get to the question and answer, I just want to thank everyone for their time this afternoon. Please submit anything you have farm-related, agribusiness-related over to us. We'd like to take a look at anything. In addition to those apps, you can throw it on the Accords 402 through 405, get it over to us. We just want to take a look at whatever you got. We're expanding our underwriting appetite constantly. And if we don't write it, we'd like to look at what we're not writing and how we might be able to expand our markets as well. So thank you to everyone. Really appreciate the time. If you have no questions, you're free to jump off now, and we'll just kind of open it up for question and answers. Again, use that chat box to type any questions you might have. I did see a couple come throughout the so we did get a question here. Can we quote for all those carriers within Accord, or do we have to complete each application?
We can take an Accord. Unless it's equine related, then we do need an Equine Supplemental because the Accords don't usually cover those underwriting questions.
There you go. Let's see here. Oh, here we got the chats going all over the place. Got them in different locations here. Will you be sending these slides out to us? Yes, I'll send these slides out. Would you like to see the list of, we did do that. We will send this out so you can see it. Is there an acreage requirement?
There's not an acreage requirement, but there has to be some type of farm or equine operation for ag business. So even if they just have one horse or one goat, that's acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Where can I get the supplemental applications for farms? Again, go to abraminterstate.com. you're going to go to farms and applications, and then there's a farm category and all the supplementals.
Yeah, when in doubt, it starts out with the Travelers Farm and Ranch application, then it goes to the Travelers Equine application. You can always just fill that one out, and the care, custody, and control is under that.
Cool. And Jan asks, which equine supplemental?
Hi, Jan. Usually, like I said, you could do the Travelers. When it comes to binding, or if you have a carrier in mind, we do have the Great American Supplemental out there, and we're going to be putting the American Reliable Supplementals out there. But again, I can quote off of anyone's application.
That's right. And I did see some others got Nyquist as well, Rebecca. And sorry we missed you there. You guys got the Kentucky Derby winner. And then I got a question from Claudia. Are you insured for horses for Paradise? I'm not sure what she's referring to there.
The area?
Is it the area Paradise? I'm not sure. We can email you after this and get maybe a little more clarification on what you're asking there. Any farm auto?
Yes, that's a good point. You want to offer an umbrella or excess to go over your farm package if you're writing a package, and our carriers do offer auto and excess to go along with those packages.
Mm-hmm.
We don't do standalone auto, but we can always throw an excess over the policies, even if they're just a liability policy.
Let's see here. Anything else from anybody? I think we've got all of them. Well, if you have any other questions, give us a call. All of our emails are on the Contact Us. You can email Michelle or myself any questions, and you can always chat with us at abraminterstate.com. There would be a chat box at the top right of the homepage as well, and embedded throughout our website. Thank you for your time, everyone, this afternoon. Really appreciate it. Have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, everybody.